Scott Dawson, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and joining us. It is a privilege to welcome Luke Smallbone. Luke is part of the group for King and Country, and it is my privilege to be able to announce that this next January 16th through the 18th, 2021, in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, for King and Country will be our headlining concert as they come and join us. And when you think about For King and Country, it's more than a concert; it's an experience, and it's a privilege to have Luke with us. Luke, welcome. We're glad you're here, buddy.
Hey man, thanks for taking the time to chat with me, man. You could be doing a lot of things, or maybe you can't actually. But I appreciate taking the time.
I was asking you, how is the quarantine going up there?
Yeah, well, I mean, quarantine for everybody, I think, looks very, very different, and that's the challenge of what I think that we find. You know, it's very rare that there's something in life that consumes the entire world. And that's what we actually are going through right now. So, for me, I look at my, family and what we're going through. I mean, I travel a lot, and so I'm gone a lot. And in some cases, this has been a real gift. I mean, it just has. It's been a real gift for me and my family. It's been refreshing to all be home, to be doing life together. We already homeschool, so some of the things that other people are having to adjust, we haven't had to adjust that much. It's just become, well, Dad doesn't have to leave tonight. And so sometimes that's a really good change of pace. And my wife used to joke when she would pray, like, God, will you somehow redeem time where my husband can be home, for extended periods of time for a long while. And she got her wish under very, very strange circumstances.
Well, the one thing is we're all learning things. I mean, I did not want to go through this situation without coming out sharper, learning a skill, doing something that redeeming the time. So I would like to ask, what are some of the lessons you've been taught?
Well, when you talk about lessons, there's the physical lessons of we live in the country, and one of the dreams that for me and my wife has always been that we wanted to raise cattle. I don't know why, but we've always had this dream of we wanted to raise cattle. And so this kind of fell in line when we were already planning on, we had to get some work done on the property and build some fences and things. And so the new skill that we're attempting to learn is we're attempting to learn how to raise cattle. And then as far as the spiritual side, I think it's very, very easy in the hustle and bustle of life to leave God behind, if that makes sense. And this is a moment where it's still possible to ignore Jesus even when you're quarantined. But the busyness of our jobs and the busyness of the stress of just the hustle and bustle, that's been removed to a degree. And so I've just enjoyed feeling like my mind is clearer. And I think spiritually kind of trying to be intentional on what can I learn spiritually through some of these times where, I mean, man, coming up to June, if we end up doing some scheduled events, it will nearly have been like 5-6 months since we've really done shows. And so that's not really ever happened, since my wife and I have even been married. So there's a lot to learn spiritually through just the stillness and the quietness. And look, it says in the Bible that you hear Jesus' voice in the stillness and the quiet. So we have to practice being quiet so we can hear his voice. Yeah,
and you guys, I mean, you're a close-knit family. You and I think your father is the manager. Dave, is he still around? And
he's still around, yeah, of course, yeah.
And Joel. So let me ask you this: do you guys still get together? I mean, are you able to during this quarantine situation, or is it just like Zoom?
Look, we've done an awful lot of phone calls. I will say that. I mean, I didn't even really know how to use Zoom until like 3 weeks ago. So that's been a nice thing. But, I actually felt 2 times over the last 2 weeks convicted that I hadn't really spoken to my dad or my mother. My dad, obviously business and conference calls, we're on those a lot, but I hadn't really called him up and just to check in. And so I called him. And he was like, "Oh, Luke, yeah, what's going on?" And I think he expected a business question. And I said, "Hey, I just haven't really spoken to you as your son for a little while. And I just thought, maybe we catch up." We were on the phone for an hour 15.
That's awesome.
And we didn't talk work at all. And so then it happened again yesterday where usually we'll do get-togethers at my parents' house and the whole family will get together. And, obviously there's a lot of kids now. And so the entourages get to 25 people or so if we're all to get together, and we're not meant to do that. And so I just I texted my mom and dad and said, hey, do you guys want to just come down for dinner, just you two? And so it's been doing things like that. It's in a roundabout way been doing things in smaller groups. Obviously that's what we're meant to do, but there's something beautiful that is presented in that, because I come from 7 kids in my family. It's difficult to get my parents' attention. So, but when you just invite them over for dinner, they don't have much of a choice but to listen to me.
Oh, wow, man. Way to redeem the time. I mean, to reconnect not only as a business manager, but as dad. That is awesome. So awesome. I got to say, you're coming to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, okay? And now most people, like when we had Kanye, most of his choir could not figure out where in the world they were. I mean, they were like, how in the world did we get here, and where in the world are we? You guys, though, have got a great connection to Pigeon Forge. You have actually collaborated with the First Lady of Pigeon Forge, Dolly Parton. What was that experience like?
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if you've ever had this. You're a man that has met a lot of people in your time and has great influence. And so you've met a lot of people that have, a lot of great influence. And so, but you always are, people are always still just people, but yet no matter how many people you meet, if there's somebody like a Dolly Parton that is, she's not just, she's an icon. She is, as you said, the First Lady of Northeast Tennessee. And so I, once again, still was kind of like, well, what's she going to be like? Who is she really? And man, I have nothing but the greatest of things to say about her. She was so kind to us. We did a music video. The way it all kind of came about was my brother Joel had seen the Netflix movie Dumplin', which is surrounded around a lot of her music. And so we have a song called God Only Knows. And back before the album was released, we had thought it would be really cool to have a female vocal on this. And we hadn't found that person. And so Joel had watched the film, and he's like, I wonder if Dolly Parton would want to sing on our song. Well, the connection is we grew up and went to church with 2 of her junior managers. And Joel actually taught them in Sunday school. And so he was like, look, you owe me one. Can we do a feature with Dolly Parton, And obviously expecting a no way. And the song got to her desk, and she replied back to her manager and said, hey, I just told all these people in my kind of inner circle that 2 days prior that I wanted to get involved with more spiritual and inspirational music. So I would be honored and I would love to sing on your song. And so that led to the song, led to a music video. And when we did the music video, that we're starting to interact. And what do you say to somebody like Dolly Parton? It's you've got in between takes, what type of things do you say? And so I literally at one point, she's standing right next to me. I'm just standing there, no conversation. And I literally pulled out, so have you been busy lately? That's all I can think of. And so that obviously started a conversation. My family ended up coming, and she said, hey, would you mind if I got a picture with you and your family? These are the types of things and the type of person she is. She's a remarkable person.
Wow. And I know we cannot confirm nor deny Dolly will be there in January. But, we're just going to leave that out there. But you guys have you've done every student conferences. Now you're filling up arenas and amphitheaters. But you got to like the South. It's just the Southern hospitality. What is it about the South that you guys just really are attracted to? People like Dolly. I'm a Southerner. It's just, we're real.
I think that you're in the South, you're taught kindness from a really young age. And I think that, that obviously is something that becomes a kind of a hallmark as you get older. What you're taught young is usually what you live out as you get older. And so, we're obviously originally from Australia, and we're immigrants from Australia. My dad came over with his wife, my mother, and 7 kids when he was around 40 years old, and started a new life here in America. And when we first came, we didn't have any money. We'd lost everything that we had, and it was people in the South, people like yourself, who found out that we didn't have, a lot of times we weren't quite sure where the next meal was going to come from. And so they would come and they would dump grocery bags full of groceries on our doorstep. We still to this day don't know who paid for our little sister to be born in a hospital. Somebody just paid that bill, and we called them up and said, hey, we owe you money. And the hospital said, wait, you've already paid it. You don't owe us anything. We had people give us a car the first day that they met us. Pretty astounding things. And that's what I love about the South, is that the South is filled with people like that have shaped me and my family.
Wow. You know, we're coming into the conference season out of a pandemic. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of people watching this who are suffering loss of jobs, loss of, loss of life. I mean, that's the main thing. But then there's also a lot of students that are losing their experiences of their senior year in high school.
Yeah.
A lot of this is changing the dynamic of our country. As you guys are collaborating, working, do you sense that this will kind of change that it's going to look different when we come out of this season for King and Country and what you guys are really building the platform to do?
I think if you answer the question, no, I don't think it's going to be any different. I think you live under a rock. I mean, there's going to be a before and after. I mean, I remember when I saw those planes run into the Twin Towers on 9/11, you knew that you were never going to forget this, and you knew that there was going to be a before and after. I think in 2008, when we went through what I guess they're labeling the Great Recession, you knew it because you knew so many people that were out of jobs. You knew that there were so many people out of work, and we're at the same place here. Now, I hope that through this, some of the other things that have taken place, 9/11 wasn't really done to us. The Great Recession, obviously it's debated how it happened. In this situation, we were fine, and then a pandemic, a disease happened, and then we're no longer. I think it gives us a great opportunity to come together as people. I think that America, particularly, has been in the past couple years. I mean, it's struggled with unification.
Yes.
But yet here we are with people going through all the same things. It's a very unique time, in the entire world, where we're all going through the same things. This is not just rich people are going through this, poor people, certain races. Everybody's equal here. We're all going through really, really hard stuff. And so my hope is that we start to see each other as a brother and a sister, and we start to see each other as hey, we're all in this together. We're all going through these things. And my hope is that as we come back as a nation, as we come back as a world, we come back with linked arms is my hope.
Yeah, that's what we're all praying for and hoping for. Hey, before we go, would you mind just maybe looking into the camera and doing two things? One, speak from your heart to a student that's walking through this. Give them hope. Give them some encouragement. The second thing is, right before we leave, I'd just love for you to give a little teaser of, who you are for King and Country, and you'll be joining us in January of 2021. Would that be too much to ask? I mean, as we go to...
Do you want me to speak to the students saying, like, hey, students, it's Luke here with the King and Country. I know you're going through a lot, that type of thing, and then launch into some sort of encouraging word? Would you like it like that, or how would you like it labeled?
Yeah, to me, I think first of all, let's just kind of talk to the student, because I know there's going to be some students that are attracted for King and Country, the excitement of the artist. I want them to hear hope from you, and then we will just come back into it at the very end and just say at that point, hey, students, this is Luke for King and Country. We're going to be with you in January 2021. But I think right now, you've hit the nail on the head. There's so much isolation. There's so much divisiveness in our country. People are searching for hope, man. And I mean, you got it. I can just sense it in you. I just want to set you free and go out there and just share. And it'll be from your heart for a few seconds, and then we'll go right into a teaser, and then we'll get you back into your quarantine lifestyle.
There you go. Well, I do think, I remember my parents always saying when I was younger, hey, it wasn't that long ago when I was a student, it wasn't that long ago when I was that young. Well, I'm 33 years old, and me being in high school does not feel all that long ago at all. And here's what I would say to students, obviously having gone through college age, having gone through being a young adult, and I don't know what I find, my middle age now at 33, who knows? What I would say is a lot of these things that you're missing, look, I mean, mourn them, mourn the fact that you won't be able to go to graduation the same way. But at the same time, a graduation does not define who you are as a human. Some of these celebrations that we may be missing out on, they don't make you perfectly happy. They don't solve life's problems. They're moments to celebrate, and we should celebrate. And I hope that for any student out there, you get to celebrate. But at the same time, know that these are the moments where you should be asking yourself, okay, I'm a little sad by this, but what's next for me? How am I going to allow something that is challenging impact my future? And in my mind, when I look back, I had people speaking truth and love to me about Jesus and the hope that is in Jesus. These are moments, if you're feeling lonely, open up the Bible. If you're feeling depressed, say a prayer. One of the things I've been saying a lot lately, that God can handle our anxious prayers. God can handle our angry prayers. God can handle our frustration. But he's dying for communication. And so I think that these are the moments, and this I would implore you as students, that's what I would implore you to do your best to do.
Absolutely. Excellent. What a great way to kind of hit the nail right on the head again of going, there's hope.
And we're looking forward to being with you January 16th through the 18th in Pigeon Forge. And look, we've been to Pigeon Forge with Strength Center before, and at the end of the day, we're dying to come back. So please come and hang out with us. It's going to be a wonderful conference and celebration, and we look forward to being with you all there.